Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer from Forge College. Okay, so you just completely crushed your capstone final build. Seriously, great job. You deployed that beautiful ERC 1155 smart contract, the transaction confirmed, and you're probably feeling like an absolute Web3 wizard right now. But before we pop the digital champagne, we really need to talk about the plumbing. Because think about it, having a permanent smart contract with broken storage, it's literally like buying a Ferrari and completely forgetting to install the engine. So, let's talk about where your digital assets actually live. Because right now, here is the absolute nightmare scenario. What happens if the centralized server holding your newly minted token's beautiful metadata suddenly just goes down? Or, maybe the domain name expires. Or what if Steve the intern accidentally unplugs a server rack? Suddenly, your rock-solid immutable smart contract is pointing at a dreaded 404 error. Your users open their wallets, and instead of seeing a glorious digital asset, they get a broken image icon. Ouch, your contract is permanent, for sure, but if your metadata isn't, the whole system falls apart.
Okay, so let's dive into the fix. To solve this, we actually need to fundamentally change how we ask the internet for files. Standard HTTP uses what we call location-based addressing. It essentially asks the network, where is this file, and relies on a super fragile server location and domain. If any part of that chain breaks, poof, the file is gone. But the Interplanetary File System, or IPFS as we usually call it, introduces a massive foundational shift. It uses content addressing. Instead of asking where is it, IPFS asks what is it? And you know what? This one simple shift absolutely unlocks decentralized availability and totally immutable records.
So how do we actually do that? Well, to prevent those broken links, we identify a file by a unique cryptographic fingerprint of its actual contents. Every single byte of your image or your JSON metadata is run through a mathematical hashing function to produce a completely unique address. And here is the really cool part. This means the pointer itself actually proves the content's integrity. If someone tries to maliciously alter your image by even a single pixel, the fingerprint changes, the address changes, and the network immediately rejects it as the wrong file. It's built-in security.
To put that into perspective, I want you to think of IPFS like a vast, global library and career network. In a normal library, you ask for a book based on where it sits, right? Shelf 42, Section B, that's HTTP. But in the IPFS library, you just walk in and shout the book's unique fingerprint. The peers in the network act like individual library branches that announce the fingerprints they hold. The nearest available courier who has that exact book simply sends you the pages. And honestly, it doesn't matter who gives it to you, because you can cryptographically verify the fingerprint the exact moment it touches your hands.
All right, let's look under the hood for a second. IPFS doesn't just send massive files all at once. Instead, it actually splits your files into much smaller chunks, or blocks, and arranges them into a structure called a Merkle DAG. That stands for a directed acyclic graph. Essentially, it's just a web of content blocks that reference each other by their hashes. This is huge because it allows you to efficiently fetch just the exact parts of a file you need. Plus, it has this totally amazing side effect, deduplication. If 10,000 people upload the exact same meme, it yields the exact same fingerprint, meaning it's literally only stored once across the entire network. How cool is that?
Okay, let's move to our workflow and see how this actually builds in practice. We're going to ground all this theory by tracking a standard JSON metadata file through the 5 steps of its IPFS lifecycle. We've got create, add, pin, retrieve, and update. This is exactly how you'll be working with decentralized storage on a day-to-day basis. Starting with step 1, create. First, you obviously create your metadata file. But listen up, here is an absolutely crucial warning. Because the address is generated from the file's exact contents, the bytes must be perfectly, rigidly stable. If you generate your JSON file and then later decide to just, add a single innocent-looking invisible space at the end of a line, you will completely alter the resulting cryptographic address. Your on-chain token will be pointing to the old address and your new data will just be orphaned. So definitely finalize your data before moving forward.
Moving on to step 2, add to IPFS. When you process your file through your local IPFS node, it gets chunked up, hashed, and a root content identifier, or CID, is returned back to you. Now, we dive a lot deeper into CIDs across several other Forge College learning paths, but for now, just know that this string of characters is your new permanent address. But, and this is a big but, please remember, simply adding it to your local node does not magically broadcast it to every computer in the world. You are literally just telling the network, hey, I have this file over here if anyone wants it.
Which naturally brings us to a massively important step: advertise and pin. To keep the content alive, you absolutely must intentionally pin it. Just like your computer regularly empties its trash, IPFS nodes routinely run garbage collection to delete unused data and save space. Pinning is basically how you yell at the node, "Hey, do not throw this away, I need this permanently." You can self-host, you can use a centralized pinning service, or even an incentivized decentralized network like Filecoin. But whatever you do, without pinning, your data is eventually going to disappear into the digital void.
Okay, step 4, retrieve. When a user finally opens their wallet, or maybe a dApp needs to display your awesome new asset, they retrieve the file from cooperating peers using that CID. The network uses content routing to find out who is currently holding those pinned blocks, downloads them, and then instantly verifies the hash. This perfectly mathematically guarantees that your token's description hasn't been maliciously altered between the time you minted it and the time the user actually views it.
And finally, step 5, renew and update. So what happens if you made a typo in the metadata and you really need to fix it? Well, because IPFS content is strictly immutable, you can't just overwrite the old file. Updating a file literally means generating a brand new CID. To handle this without totally breaking your smart contracts, developers often use a mutable naming system, something like IPNS or an on-chain pointer. That lets you dynamically point a static unchanging name to a brand new, constantly updating CID. Pretty clever, right?
So as you step out of your capstone project's sandbox and into real, production-level development within this whole NFTs and decentralized identity track, you kind of need to shift your architectural mindset. You should really always design your systems around these 3 golden principles of decentralized storage. Let's quickly break them down. Principle 1. Verify by design. You know, in the old web, we just blindly trusted the server. If Amazon or Google handed us a file, we just assumed it was the right one. But in Web 3, we don't trust, we verify. You should always treat the CID as the absolute canonical assertion of truth. Build your clients and your front ends to cryptographically verify the bytes themselves the exact moment they arrive, rather than blindly trusting whatever gateways serve them up. Moving to Principle 2, availability requires strategy. Look, let's just bust a really common beginner myth right now. Putting something on IPFS does not mean it is magically stored forever in the cloud for free. Content addressing is not magic permanence. You really must deliberately architect a pinning strategy or maybe a paid storage strategy like Filecoin to keep that pointer consistently resolvable. If no one is economically incentivized to host your data, I promise you the network will eventually forget it. And Principle 3, immutability requires explicit update paths. Because literally any tiny change yields a completely new address. You can't just wing it when it comes to dynamic NFTs or in-game items. If your metadata needs to gracefully evolve over time, like a sword leveling up in a game, you absolutely must carefully plan an on-chain indirection path or an external mutable reference system way before you ever launch your contract.
So before you mint your next big project and unleash it onto the blockchain, I want you to look at your architecture and critically ask yourself, how will you actually guarantee your metadata's survival? Because the smart contract code might be forever, but the art and the data, they need a reliable home. Take some time to really finalize your pinning strategy, and when you're ready to dig deeper, head over to forge.college to explore our programs and prep for our next explainer, where we'll actually decode the anatomy of CIDs. Keep building, keep verifying, and I'll catch you in the next one.